And welcome to your first video tutorial. Basically, I've done this to help you with your essay writing and to rewrite some of your paragraphs. And also, this is great because you can pause, rewind, go over it however many times you want. So you can work at your own speed. Now, I've chosen a body paragraph, so I'm going to model what a really good paragraph looks like. Now, I've chosen here this essay topic because it's not like anything you were doing already. So I didn't want to do something that you were just going to then copy. It's rather you copying the skills. Okay, so a tragedy concerns the fall of a great man due to some flaw in his character. To what extent is Othello a tragic hero? So I've come up with three contentions here, all of varying disagree and agrees. Contention one is totally disagree. Othello was never a great man and therefore did not fall and therefore is not a tragic hero. Contention two is a bit of both. Othello is a tragic hero to an extent, however, his actions make him unheroic. And contention three is fully agree. Othello can only be seen as a tragic hero as he truly is a great man and it is his fall that makes the play so tragic. I came up with three ideas here. I'm going with contention two just because that's a good middle ground. It's a bit of agree, a bit of disagree. And I came up with three ideas here, which are going to be my three topic sentences. So the representation, so here, this idea, I would look into the representation of the hero in Othello, because I think to answer this question, you need to really look at what a hero is in Othello and what is a tragic hero in the first place. Idea two here, the tragic hero is caught in a web of manipulation. And idea three, the flaws of a tragic hero are the ultimate undoing in Othello. So that's looking at how he is at fault here. So it's his actions. So linking in with this contention here. So having said that, I'm going to write a body paragraph. I'm going to model one for you to see how to do it. And I'm going to be using idea one here, so the representation of the hero in Othello. Here is a fantastic, it doesn't look like much, but it is a really good guide, template, I would call it, to how to write your essay. If you want, I'll get you to pause just so you can read over that. Okay, so this is something that I do use with my Year 12s. Don't stress. Obviously, I'm not going to expect you to, because you are in Year 10, for you to fill that out in as much detail as a Year 12 would. However, it's still really valid for what you guys are doing. And I think this is great because a lot of you have two bits of evidence and sort of don't know where to put them or how to fit in or when to explain. So I think this will be really good. So the main idea here is that you have this topic sentence, okay, which is idea one. So we've already come up with that. And then it's got your evidence, your analysis, a linking phrase. So you would be using furthermore or however. Obviously that depends whether you're agreeing or disagreeing. Sub-idea two, evidence again, analysis, and then linking those two bits together. Are they similar? Are they dissimilar ideas? So and this is really good if you want to explore two types of characters here. So, for example, the representation of the hero in Othello. Because we can't lead with a character in a topic sentence, you could then use the characters within your paragraph. This isn't the way I'm going for this, but you could definitely do it. So a way to do that with this idea is you would maybe look at Othello as a hero, and then you might look at Cassio as a hero. So they would be your two sub-ideas. So you might put a however in there, because you might say Othello is one way. However, Cassio is a different type of hero. He is also flawed. He likes women and drinking. So that's another way that you could definitely go. So I think, and again, if you see, this structure is really good at coming up with all different ideas and which characters go in where. You could also do a sub-idea as a character and then a sub-idea as an event or two events. okay, which is sort of where I'm going with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out this template. I'm going to speed it up, so just bear with me. It won't be in real time, and then we'll go over the structure together and what I've done, okay? So, I've just done that. Just quickly going to go over it. I'll give you a second just to read it. So I would suggest pause now and have a little read. Okay, so basically the most important thing to have a look at here is the analysis. So I've put, my sub-idea is Othello does begin as a great man and a hero. As I said, I'm going to do two sub-ideas that are sort of events or the way things happen rather than characters, because both are, or different characters I should say. So evidence here is of a constant, loving, noble nature. Now, I want to point out here that with the analysis, you can set up the quote. You need to give a little bit of context for the quote, so a bit of a background. So I've gone in and just said, Iago says this of Othello. It's that simple. A lot of the time, embedding quotes was an issue in the exam. So, there's no need to say this is a quote from Iago or this quote says, I don't want to see this quote anywhere, okay? Just go straight into it. So just say what you want to say. Iago says this of Othello. His own enemy is able to admit that in fact Othello is noble. This shows how strong Othello's reputation is as a great man. This is enforced as Othello appears to be a good leader during the uncertainty of war. Now, the thing about analysis is, I think I've said before, it's stuff that the author doesn't actually blatantly say. We come up with those conclusions as readers. We interpret it in a certain way. And that's what analysis is. It's an interpretation of what the author's trying to say, or could be trying to say. So, his own enemy here. Shakespeare doesn't say, his enemy, Iago, says this of him, for example. So we've come up with that idea ourselves. Also, the uncertainty of war. Shakespeare doesn't say that they're scared of war, but he sets it up in a way that we know that the senators are discussing, who's going to lead, what's the campaign going to be like in Cyprus, Othello's going to be the leader. We know that there's an uncertainty, but it's not actually said. So that's another example of analysis, reading between the lines. Now, I've used a furthermore here because these two sub-ideas are supporting each other rather than going against, or I'm not looking at two different characters. So, sub-idea 2, Othello is so great and therefore has further to fall. And now I've got evidence here. Is this the noble Moor whom our full Senate call all in all sufficient? Now I have another one here, here's much change. Now in terms of the structure of the essay, I wouldn't put this here because I've got it down here, so I wouldn't say it twice. I've just put it up here so I can remember to include that later on. But this one definitely would come straight after this sub-idea up here. And then again, I've gone straight in to what he said. I haven't said this quote says. Ludovico questions if this is the noble man that the Senate thought to be sufficient to rule in battle. His heroism and leadership at the beginning of the play makes for such a dramatic fall, confirming the idea that the better the hero, the further the fall. Iago stating he's much changed confirms this. So again, reading into this, Shakespeare doesn't say Othello has far to fall, or the more of a hero he is, oh sorry, I just threw a pen, the more of a hero he is, the further it has to fall. It's an idea that we come up with as the audience, and we're using this, as our evidence. these quotes. So this little bit here is you've got these two great sub ideas. What do you do with them? You don't just then go on to the next paragraph. You need to look at them and to sort of come up with a conclusion. So I've said Shakespeare allows the audience to contrast Othello at the beginning and at the end of the play. In creating him as a hero, his downfall becomes more obvious. Okay, so that's almost a linking sentence, but not quite. And that's just coming up with an idea of how this sub-idea and this sub-idea sort of connect as similar. Of course, if you're doing two dissimilar ideas, you would do it slightly differently. You might say that Cassio is much more of a hero than Othello is, and therefore, he's the tragic hero because he has so much potential and everything's colluding against him, but he doesn't actually do anything bad, for example. Now, link back your idea back to your contention. Now, the linking, remember I said the yo-yo example? There were some issues in the exam of really good, strong linking sentences. So, this is important. So, you need to make sure you're linking back to your contention, which is he's a tragic hero to an extent. And back to my topic sentence here. So, let's see if we can tick those boxes. It is Othello being represented as a hero and documenting his fall from grace that sees him become a tragic hero. Okay, so I've looked at that he's represented as a hero here, and I've looked at the tragic hero aspect from our contention here. So I've not acknowledged he's a tragic hero. And then obviously it'll be part of the rest of the essay to explore these two ideas to then, down here to disagree slightly. Okay, so I'm going to turn this into a body paragraph. So it's as simple as grabbing these here and putting them together. Again, I'm going to speed this up. So there, I've basically I literally just put all of that, and here is a great body paragraph. So I'm just going to change this. So the representation of the hero and Othello, that doesn't make much sense on its own. So we would say is explored in the play. Okay, so if you want to just pause, I would suggest just pause the video and have a quick read over that and see how it's flowing. Okay, so I just wanted to add that I put this in here. You're allowed to sort of do that if you want to make it clear that he's talking about Othello, but it's not actually said, and it's just for ease, particularly in an essay, because you can't go on and on about that summary sort of stuff. Now, what I'm going to do now is, and something that I want you to get into the habit of doing when you're writing your own essays, or even do it in your mind if you're in an exam, under exam conditions, and you don't want to highlight all over your exam because that makes it hard to read, is make sure you've got everything. So highlighting is really good for this. So in yellow, we're going to highlight topic sentence. Let's see if there's a clear topic sentence. And yes, there is, right here. We know that this is what this paragraph's going to be about. Next, in green, we're going to highlight our evidence. So any sort of quotes. There's one there, and one there. Next, we're going to highlight analysis or our explanation. Let's do that in pink. So that's anything that's sitting in this analysis box here and in how the two sub-ideas are similar or different. So that is here, here, and here. And then, oops, not that one. Here. And up to there. Okay, so these bits that are left blank are the two sub-ideas, so they're sort of sub-linking sentences. But I want you to see how, sorry, it's my dog barking. Monty. So, sorry about that. So this is, look how much analysis is in there. It's mostly pink, that paragraph, and that's what you need. You need to have a majority of your paragraph analysis. And just quickly in blue, we'll do our linking sentence. Okay? So that's what your text response essays should look like if you were to go and highlight them. Now, what you need to notice is that there is no summary whatsoever. I'm not summarizing events or what characters do. I'm looking at how they do them, why they do them. And I'm also looking at any meaning that is interpreted that's not clearly said by Shakespeare. There's no, I do talk about Iago here, well, for example, Ludovico. I don't go and say he questions Othello, then he turns to Iago, and Iago says he's much changed, and then, Othello hits Desdemona, and then, I'm not retelling the story. I'm not retelling anything. It's just pure analysis. You do not need to tell me what happens in that event. Okay, you need to be exploring why that event is important. What does it tell us about the motivations of characters? What does it tell us about the themes that Shakespeare was trying to get across? And that's all reading between the lines. Okay, so you feel free to go over any parts of this again and ask me any questions.